Howdy, it's Constitutional Clayton here, and it seems that our good old pals at JP Morgan are making news in the Bitcoin world. These new revelations, plus other new facts, are shaping up the real picture of Bitcoin, and you know what? It's just as I presumed it would be. Now I'm going to give you some highlights from some articles, and let's go over those real quick. This first one is from the Financial Times, and it reads, JP Morgan files a patent for Bitcoin-style payment system. While the bank does not name Bitcoin or any other virtual currencies in this patent application, it does hint at emerging efforts to challenge the dominance of credit card technology. While new internet payment mechanisms may have been rapidly emerging, consumers and merchants have been happily conducting a growing volume of commerce using basic credit card functionality, JP Morgan said in the application. None of the emerging efforts to date have gotten more than a toehold in the marketplace, and momentum continues to build in favor of credit cards. JP Morgan in this patent application, which dates back to 1999, was recently updated, and the new payment system would compete with debit and credit cards as a predominant way of making online transactions. So, did JP Morgan know about the rise of cryptos? I'd say that they had an idea, at the very least. At this point, it's safe to say that. Could it be they were just trying to stay on top of whatever they could for their own business interests? This next article is from The Economist. It says, Bitcoin, JP Morgan jumps in. In the patent application, which is published online, and which I will show you later in this video, the bank argues that while credit cards completely dominate the market for online payments, they are likely to continue to do so for at least 5 years. Their high processing costs and risk, particularly fraud, limit their usefulness. They suggest that what the internet needs is something that does roughly what cash does in the real world, a quick, cheap, and simple way of transmitting value. What they propose is a means of making anonymous payments without a provision of an account number or name from the payer, where the money is stored in the payee's computer memory and transactions are verified through a shared log. Now, that sounds an awful lot like Bitcoin's blockchain, a log now several gigabytes large, which records every transaction ever made in Bitcoin, and so ensures that only one person can hold a particular subunit of the currency at one time. This article is a negative piece on Bitcoin, and it goes on to say, Bitcoin will never take off in a serious way. Here's hoping that something like it might, however. And if the people at JP Morgan turn out to be the ones who make it work, an idea that I'm sure will make Bitcoin enthusiasts livid, then good for them. Good for JP Morgan if they're able to take a decentralized currency and make it part of their own. Alright, let's talk Bitcoin. JP Morgan Chase building Bitcoin killer. This article actually restates some of what I have gone over in the previous articles, but it's a more positive piece on Bitcoin, and it goes on a philosophical response to the other articles. They seem to get it right though. It is Bitcoin killer, and it is what I've always thought would follow the demise of the Bitcoin. This article says this: without mentioning Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies at all for that matter, Chase appears to be building a competing centralized network to Bitcoin. See that? Centralized version of Bitcoin. This would make faster transaction times, which is what I said consumers would want. Remember how I showed you that you can finish your sandwich at Subway before the transaction even goes through? Trust me, I'm aware of other cryptos that address a lot of the shortcomings of Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin so far is the only one that is really redeemable right now for anything. You can't switch your Litecoins or your Prime coins into cash. You have to put them into Bitcoins first, and then you can either change those Bitcoins out for cash, or you can change them out for products for the people who actually accept Bitcoins. Alright, this is from the US Patent and Trademark Office. This is the actual patent that JP Morgan is upgrading. So you can go check it out for yourself and not just take my word for it. The application number is 201-303-17984. Go check it out for yourself. This last article I want to bring you comes from the Business Insider. The headline reads, 927 people own half of all Bitcoins. And this is very interesting to me. Of course, the very nature of how valuable Bitcoin was in the beginning plays a part in this, but if we take a step back and look at how it has panned out, we can start to see the bigger picture. And here's a highlight from the article. Ownership of Bitcoin appears to be highly lopsided. This has long been a source of consternation for the Bitcoin community, and people like FT's Isabella Kamaska have written extensively about the implications of this apparent cartel on prices. Basically, they get to dictate them, and the rest of us are just price takers. We can make a comparison between Bitcoin price manipulation and silver price manipulation. The bankers have computer programs that hold paper ounces of silver, and they dump them from one set of accounts to another set of accounts, and this appears as legitimate sales and pushes the price lower. The early adopters are considered Bitcoin millionaires, but I will call them Bitcoin overlords. Who knows how many of the 900 plus accounts are the same person? Maybe the NSA could find out, but we don't know that. All they have to do is sell off a certain percentage of those Bitcoins from one hand to the other hand, or from one account to another account, and the price endures a waterfall. If they hold, more money comes in and the price rises. They have control through collusion of the price of Bitcoin, thus earning the name Bitcoin overlords. Now, I'm not saying you can't make money in Bitcoin, because you can make a lot. Make sure you don't get crazy though, because if you ask me, it's going to fall really hard when JP Morgan introduces a regulated type of crypto and Bitcoin gets crushed by that type of fascism. Make sure you share this video. We're all about the truth in this movement. Let's make sure that we don't lose sight of our ultimate goal. Once you see what is happening, you can prepare to deal with it. Until then, listen in.